All right, state lawmakers are set to change the legal process on child abuse and welfare cases. Honolulu Civil Beat's Chad Blair is here to talk more on this very serious issue, and it's kind of complicated, but very important.
Yeah, John Hill, our investigations editor, has been reporting on this in a series about these child custody cases. You know, we know so much because we've seen all the images of those young children that have perished tragically in Wahiwa and in Waimanalo. I think it was Ariel Sellers, Isabella Kalua, and also Gianna Bradley, right? Now, I can't talk about those two cases in particular, but what John has today is an encouraging story about two pieces of legislation that are passing that would hopefully make it easier to have a judge review these cases and make sure that when you intervene, that the state is doing the right thing.
So the question here is about parental rights and how difficult you should make it to remove a child from a household.
Right, exactly. Remember, children and parents both have constitutional rights under the 4th and the 14th Amendment. But right now, if the police believe there's imminent harm, if the state believes that's the case, well, the police can intervene. They can go in and take the child out. But how do you define imminent harm? And that's where the law gets a little tricky. Right now, it says you actually could have up to 90 days to make that determination. Other states actually say, no, you only need a few hours to determine that. Having a judge make that determination could help in a great deal, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to overload the already overloaded foster care system in Hawaii.
Well, you're also kind of shifting the interpretation of the law from a social worker, right, to a judge, which is kind of what you want.
Right, but a social worker, remember, they got a lot of things on their plate, and if they think a child is in harm, they certainly want to intervene. And remember, the police can do that. They don't need a court order. The question is each case is different. They are not uniform. You really need to have legal review. And Hawaii is the only Western state that doesn't have this judicial review on a more frequent basis. Other states, like Arizona, they do have it in place, and it seems to be having an impact.
What sort of impact did it have in Arizona?
In terms of getting less people taken away from their homes or overcrowding the foster care system, it's all fairly new in terms of the data that's being collected, but there seems to be encouraging signs that this is the way to go. Those bills, by the way, passed the House and Senate yesterday. They now cross over for further consideration.
And generally, they're saying that if you take a child out of the home even one day, it can have an impact.
Oh, yeah, I think that's one of the main takeaways of John's story today is the psychological toll on the child, let alone being put in with legal guardians who they don't know. And then, of course, we've seen these tragic cases on television and print and radio. But I think that's the most fundamental thing, caring for these kids and making sure they're being treated properly by the state.
Yeah, our most vulnerable population.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Chad, for that. You should read the full articles at civilbeat.org, or you can text 66866 to get the newsletter. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Grace.
We'll be right back.